All right, let's dive into Michael Morpurgo's Private Peaceful. If you're at all curious about World War I and how it really, hit ordinary folks, or if you just dig a really, really good story, well, then you are so in the right place for this one. We've got a whole bunch of sources to work with here. Got some plot summaries, yeah, character analysis, even some cool stuff about Morpurgo himself, the author, So, ready to jump in?
Oh, absolutely. And, I think one of the things that just grabs you right away about Private Peaceful is how Morpurgo sets the whole thing up, like the way he tells the story. It all happens during the last night of this guy, Tommo Peaceful's life, like
Yeah.
the night before he's going to be executed. And every memory, every relationship, it's all sort of, well, overshadowed by that.
It really does throw you right into the thick of it, doesn't it? You're instantly like,
Mm.
whoa, how did he end up here? And you just got to piece
Yeah.
together all those memories with him.
Exactly. And that leads us to like the core of it all, right? The bond between Tommo and his brother Charlie.
Hmm.
This isn't just any old sibling thing. This is like the heart of the whole story.
Yeah, those peaceful brothers, right? You've got Tommo, he's our narrator, trying to make sense of everything. Then there's Charlie, the older brother. He's all brave and protective, almost like a hero to Tommo. And then can't forget Big Joe, the oldest. He kind of adds a whole other layer to the family. They describe him as kind, but needing extra help, which even back then it kind of makes you think about, social responsibility and all that, even back then.
It is really interesting how Morpurgo kind of sneaks in those deeper themes right from the get-go. Like right away we're asking,
Hmm.
how far would Tommo go for a family, for Charlie especially? And that question, that struggle, it sticks with Tommo throughout the whole book.
And then, bam, this huge thing happens that throws Tommo's world totally upside down. Their dad dies. And it's not just any accident. He dies saving little Tommo from a falling tree. Talk about a turning point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And this isn't just some random plot point. Morpurgo's a pro. He's introducing the whole survivor's guilt thing here. That incident, it's not just moving the plot along. It's like planting this seed of responsibility in Tommo. That's going to grow into something, well, something dangerous later on.
Yeah.
Morpurgo, he's so good at showing how loss messes with young minds. It's like a pattern in his books. You see it again and again.
You know what? It's fascinating how he contrasts that intense love in the peaceful family with how hard their life is outside. You've got Grandma Wolf, the not so loving great aunt, and the Colonel. He's like the symbol of all that stuffy, strict stuff in their village. It's like they're being squeezed.
Right, exactly. They're like totally lacking any safety net. It almost forces them to depend only on each other. And that sets the stage for all those tough choices Tom was going to face down the line.
Then you bring in Molly, their childhood friend. She kind of gets mixed up in their lives, and, well, it gets complicated. She ends up marrying Charlie, which you can imagine stirs up all kinds of feelings for Tommo. I mean, who hasn't felt a little left out when people close to you move on to bigger things while you're still figuring yourself out?
And it's not just a personal thing. It reflects like how war disrupts everything. It's like life gets put on fast forward, relationships, responsibility, because the future, well, it's suddenly up in the air.
Then, of course, World War I explodes onto the scene, and this isn't just background noise. This is the thing that turns everything upside down, throws Charlie into the army, and in this huge, I don't know, act of loyalty or maybe just pure desperation, Tommo lies about his age to join up with him.
And here's where things get murky, right? Morally. I mean, there's no doubt Tommo's doing it out of love for his brother. But it makes you ask, is it really heroic?
Mhm.
Or is it like this reckless thing coming from that guilt he's still carrying around? Morpurgo, he's a master at showing us these moral gray areas. He doesn't give you easy answers. He wants us to wrestle with the tough stuff, especially when it comes to war.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about why people make the choices they do in wartime. Are good intentions enough when lives are on the line? And once they're actually in the trenches, the story doesn't hold back. It shows just how awful it was.
Oh, no, not at all. Morpurgo takes us right there into the horrible conditions, the terrible leadership.
Oh, man. Horrible. Hanley, you can't forget a guy like that. He's like the poster boy for everything that was wrong with how they treated those soldiers.
He really is.
Yeah.
But then you've got someone like Captain Wilkes, a character who shows us that even in a system as harsh as war, there can be people who are, well, decent, compassionate.
It's such a crucial contrast. It shows that Morpurgo isn't giving us this black and white view of war. There are shades of gray, there's humanity, even in all that awfulness.
Exactly. And by putting characters like Captain Wilkes and Sergeant Hanley side by side, he's breaking down that myth of the perfect war hero. He wants us to see that war is a system. And inside that system, people can be capable of both, incredible kindness and terrible cruelty. This is what makes his writing so powerful and so, it really sticks with you.
And then we get to Charlie's big moment, the act of bravery that kicks off the rest of the story. He straight up disobeys in order to help Tommo, who'd been hurt in battle. Talk about selfless.
And tragically, the army sees it as cowardice. It leads to, well, his court-martial and that death sentence. And remember, this is the very night the entire book takes place. The tension just builds and builds with each memory, each conversation, as Charlie's time runs out.
It's so smart how he structured the story. You're always thinking about what's going to happen. It makes every single moment, every little interaction just so much more, I don't know, meaningful, I guess. And it's on this last night that Tommo finally tells Charlie about the guilt he's been carrying all these years, the guilt over their dad's death. It's like this huge weight has been lifted off him, just raw emotion.
It's a huge turning point, not just for them, but for Tommo finding peace, you know?
Yeah.
And the timing, it's so important. It's all about forgiveness, making things right, finding closure before death. It's not an accident. Morpurgo called the book Private Peaceful. That feeling of peace, even with all the tragedy around him, that's what Tommo finally gets to.
So we've covered a lot, but it feels like we're just getting started. Even in this first part, there's so much to unpack. The horrors of war, the power of family, abuse of power, that constant guilt, the weight of memory.
And he weaves it all together so well. Morpurgo doesn't sugarcoat how awful war is, but he also shows us the love, the loyalty, that even in the worst times, those things can still exist.
And that's what makes Private Peaceful such a strong story. It stays with you. It makes you think. It makes you talk about it. It makes you understand yourself and the world a little better.
One thing that really hits me about Private Peaceful is how Morpurgo handles memory. It's not just some background thing. It's like the engine driving the whole story.
Uh-huh.
We see everything through Tommo's memories, and as that last night goes on, those memories get so strong, almost too much to bear.
It's so true. It's like we're right there with Tommo, feeling everything. The good times they had as kids, the whole Charlie and Molly romance, the pure terror of being in battle. It all feels so real, so intense.
And because we know right from the start that Charlie's going to be executed, even the happy memories have this sadness to them, this sense of loss. It's really brilliant how he uses that jumping around in time to make the story hit you harder emotionally.
It's that you always have in the back of your mind, right? That all the good stuff, the innocence, it's not going to last. It all leads to that terrible ending. And the way Morpurgo moves between the past and present, it's so smooth, it keeps you guessing. You're always trying to figure out how each memory connects to that last night, how it all fits together.
Exactly. It's like we're putting together a puzzle, trying to understand Tommo, how every experience, every relationship shapes him, leads him to that confession at the end. And speaking of choices, it's interesting how Morpurgo uses different characters to look at how complicated morality is, especially in war. On one side, you've got guys like the Colonel and Sergeant Hanley. They're all about those strict, unfeeling systems of power.
Yeah, like blind obedience, even when it leads to bad things. It makes you think about how power can change people, turn them into bullies like Hanley. He seems to enjoy picking on those weaker than him. It's creepy.
It really is. And it's sadly, true to life how people abuse power, especially in places like the Army, where there's so much pressure. But then you got characters like Charlie and Captain Wilkes. They show a different kind of courage, the courage to disobey when an order goes against what they believe.
It's that classic problem, right? Following the rules versus doing what you think is right, even if it costs you. Charlie risking everything to save Tommo, knowing he could get in huge trouble, it says a lot about him. He'd do anything for his brother, even go against the whole system.
That's what makes Charlie such a great character. He's not perfect, but he's got this strong moral compass. He might act without thinking sometimes, but it always comes from love and loyalty. And Captain Wilkes, even though he's part of the Army, he shows that he can feel for others, he can be compassionate.
He's a little bit of hope, isn't he? Like showing it's possible to be a good leader, even in all the mess and violence.
Exactly. He challenges that idea that war turns everyone into monsters. He shows that you can hold on to your morals, even when surrounded by awful things. And what's so great about Morpurgo, he doesn't give us this simple good versus evil view of war. Yeah, there's the horror, the pointless deaths, but there's also friendship, selflessness, even moments of beauty in all darkness. It's this, complex way of looking at things that makes Private Peaceful more than just a war story.
It's a story about being human, about all the feelings we have, the choices we make, even when things are really bad. And that guilt, man, is such a big part of Tommo's story, that feeling that he caused his dad's death. It affects every decision he makes.
It really does. It's like this classic thing in stories, the weight of guilt pushing a character forward. But Morpurgo doesn't just use it to move the plot along. He shows us how it eats away at a person, especially a young one like Tommo. It leads to him doing things that hurt himself and his desperate need to make things right.
And it's only when he finally tells Charlie in those last hours that he lets go of that guilt. It's a powerful moment for Tommo and for us reading it.
It shows how powerful truth and forgiveness are, both for yourself and with other people. It says that even when you're facing death, there's still a chance for healing and letting go. And even though the ending is really sad, there's also this little bit of hope. Tommo, after making peace with Charlie and facing his guilt, he faces what's coming with this new determination to survive, to make Charlie proud.
Yeah, he's been through hell, and he comes out changed, maybe not totally okay, but definitely different. It's a bittersweet ending, but it shows how strong the human spirit can be. It says that even when you lose so much, you still have a duty to keep going, to live a life that honors those who are gone.
And it reminds us that even in the darkest times, there's still hope. Hope for healing, hope for redemption, hope for a future without all this pointless suffering. Speaking of hope, one thing I always notice about Morpurgo's books is how he manages to put in this sense of optimism, of resilience, even in the toughest stories. Even when he's writing about war, death, unfairness, there's always this belief that kindness and compassion can overcome anything.
That's why so many people love his books. They're not all sunshine and rainbows. But they show us how complicated life is, while also reminding us that even in the darkness, there's always some light.
And I think his background as a teacher has a lot to do with that. He gets how important it is to give people hope, especially young people. He knows how to talk about hard things without making people feel completely hopeless. Instead, he uses stories to make people stronger, to make them understand each other, to make the world a kinder and more understanding place.
It's like he's saying, yeah, the world can be a cruel place, but there's still good in it, and it's worth fighting for.
Hmm.
And the things he went through, living through World War II as a kid, that definitely shaped how he sees things. He really gets how war affects young people, and he feels for those who've lost so much, who've been through trauma.
His stories show how powerful storytelling can be, not just to entertain, but to teach us, to make us feel for others, to remind us that we're all human. And it's not just the stories, it's how he tells them. Morpurgo has this amazing way with words. He can be simple and powerful at the same time. He creates these vivid pictures in your head, makes you feel things deeply without using big words or confusing sentences.
He's great at creating atmosphere. You can almost smell the dirt in the trenches, feel how cold it is on that last night, hear the brothers whispering. It's those little details, that ability to take you to another time and place. That's what makes his writing so captivating.
And that's what makes Private Peaceful more than just a war story. It's a timeless classic. It sticks with you long after you finish it. It makes you think. It makes you talk. It helps you understand yourself and the world better. And even though it's set over 100 years ago, those ideas of courage, sacrifice, family, they're still important today. They go beyond time and culture. They remind us of what makes us human.
And that's the beauty of great literature, isn't it? It can reach across time and place, connect us to things that people have always felt across generations. Private Peaceful is a perfect example of that. It's kind of wild to think about Private Peaceful, this like simple story set in the trenches. It's touched so many people across time, different cultures. It's become a classic. It makes you wonder, what is it about Morpurgo, about all his books that just grabs people like that?
It's like he's got this knack for tapping into those things that are true for everyone, about being human. His stories, yeah, they often have these specific historical settings, but the themes, they go beyond that. It's about love and loss and courage, fighting for what's right, the importance of family, community, things we can all connect with no matter who we are.
Totally. It's like he's reminding us that underneath all the differences, we're all kind of going through the same stuff, feeling those same basic human emotions.
And being a teacher, that probably helps him connect with so many people. He knows how to explain big ideas in a way that makes sense, how to make things interesting without talking down to anyone. His writing, it's clear, it's simple, but it's also really powerful.
He nails that balance, doesn't he? Doesn't shy away from the tough stuff, but he presents it in a way that's honest, but also hopeful, especially for younger readers. He doesn't think they can't handle big emotions, big ideas.
And you can't forget His, like, pure excitement for telling stories, it comes through in all his books, every interview he does. He really believes that stories can change people, can make them more understanding, and that's contagious. It makes you want to jump right into those stories, experience them yourself.
He's a huge champion for reading, for books, and it's awesome to see his work go beyond the page, like with all those plays and
A
movies.
warhorse, that's the big one, right? Seeing that story come to life on stage with those huge horse puppets, it was just, wow, it captured what Morpurgo's all about, the emotions, that bond between a boy and his animal. It really hit people hard everywhere.
It shows how universal his themes are, how strong his stories are. They can work in any format. They find new ways to move people, spark their imaginations.
And it's amazing how he uses his, you know, his position to support things he cares about, like his Farms for City Children project. He's not just writing about getting kids closer to nature, he's actually making it happen.
That shows real dedication, right? He's not just a writer, he's an activist. He wants to make things better, use his success to help others.
And that's what's so inspiring about Morpurgo. He shows how storytelling can do more than entertain. It can teach, it can inspire, it can change the world for the better.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Private Peaceful and this incredible writer, what's the one thing you want to leave our listeners with? What's the big takeaway here?
Hmm. I think it's remembering that stories, they have this power to bring us together, to help us understand each other, understand the world better. And Morpurgo's stories, they do that in a special way. They mix history, deep emotions, and this hopeful view of the future.
And they remind us that even when things are tough, courage and kindness and compassion, they can win out in the end. So, to everyone listening, go check out Morpurgo's books. Let his stories take you away, let his ideas challenge you, and be inspired by his vision.
And most importantly, share those stories, talk about them. Keep the magic of storytelling alive. Let it spark your imagination and touch your heart.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Private Peaceful and the amazing world of Michael Morpurgo. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep the power of stories alive.